George and Sydney Anthony fled the courtroom yesterday after the jury announced their daughter, Casey Anthony's acquittal. And now, according to Radar Online, the couple is in hiding after receiving death threats over the internet. Now, their attorney announced that the Anthonys have not decided whether they will welcome their daughter, who lived with them when Kaylee disappeared back in 2008, back into their home when all of this is over. But from the looks of it, Casey's financial prospects are quite bright. ABC News reports that she stands to gain over $750,000 if she strikes a deal to write a tell-all book, and she can even rake that money in while she's in jail. And also, Casey could net a similar sum for sitting down for an exclusive TV interview. But TMZ News reports that an alternate career path may also open up to her. Pornography. Porn executive Steve Hirsch called Anthony's lawyer, Jose Baez, to gauge her interests and told TMZ, quote, "We've all seen the pictures of her partying, having a good time with friends, where she definitely looks hot. And we are just learning that he has since rescinded that offer." So what's next for Casey and the rest of the Anthony family? Joining me now with reaction, Fox News legal analyst Mercedes Cohen and defense attorney Rebecca Rose Woodland. First of all, in fairness to this entire family, all of this is media speculation. You know, the idea that Casey will try and now, why are you looking at me?
Well, no, because, Sean, there's already all this interest. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's tons of interest on this woman's tell-all.
Hang on a second. But we don't know what her interest is here.
If she's smart, keep your lips sealed. Don't speak to anybody.
I mean, let's hope out of respect for her dead daughter. She can speak to you. But out of respect for her dead daughter, I would sincerely hope she doesn't write a tell-all book of how horrible jail was, what really happened. We saw that with OJ and that disaster that happened.
Could she open herself up to legal problems?
You know, she could, because there is what we call the son of Sam laws, and a lot of states adopt it. It's a very difficult thing to enact.
Yeah, but that's if you're found guilty.
That's if you're found guilty. She does have a guilty conviction here.
For misdemeanors.
Exactly, for misdemeanors. So her argument is going to be, I'm not guilty on the crime that I would discuss. I didn't commit it. I wasn't found guilty. Respectfully, though,
what if she told a story, a tale of involvement and a death in a swimming pool and a cover-up? Would there create any legal vulnerabilities for her there?
No, well, there's double jeopardy. So basically, she can't be retried for murder. She can't be retried for the facts underlying that murder. But here's the thing, though. She's being sued for defamation. So she actually got served last night.
Yeah, but that's meaningless.
Yeah, so she'll take her testimony, and they're going to ask questions. Where did this nanny come up that you said that she took Kaylee?
Well, it's because of the woman's name, and there is evidence. Apparently, she was in an apartment complex where she might have got that name that turned out to be a lie. Look, I want to ask you both the same question we've been going over here tonight. I keep repeating, I needed more to get me to this point. I think she was overcharged in the case. If it was negligent homicide, not reporting it 31 days, I think you had me. If it was negligent homicide, where she lied repeatedly, you had me. But when they say murder one, aggravated child abuse, they did not look, I think they were overzealous. Am I right or wrong?
I absolutely agree. I have to, with all due respect to the prosecution, I understand they wanted a prosecution, but the facts and the evidence just didn't add up to murder in the first degree, and the jury's thinking in the back of their mind, oh God, and that would mean possible death. I can't take that chance. That's what a juror says. Reasonable doubt.
I think the biggest issue, too, for that jury is where's the motive? She's such a loving mother. Look at these pictures. She's playing with her child. She's wonderful. But no one came in and said, hey, by the way, Child Protective Services has been around. She's been abusing this child. She's been talking about getting rid of this child.
How do you get this loving mother comment? I don't get this. 31 days. If your child is missing, what are you going to do?
But that was before. They're talking about, that's why the jury really struggled. They looked and said, wait a minute, but all the history prior to her disappearance, everyone spoke, even on the prosecution side. The witnesses said she loved her daughter, she adored her daughter, she was kissing her, playing with her, all of that. But the bottom line, and even Baez said, my client might be a slut, she may be a liar, but she's not a murderer. And that
I got to tell you,
that client.
I thought he started out really slow. I had my doubts about him. I thought he was I thought his opening comments were way off base. He closed along with Cheney, what's his name?
Mason.
Yeah, just a phenomenal close. They literally rebutted every single issue that the prosecution brought up, and they either impeached it or they created doubt. It was a brilliant close.
Right. They attacked everything. They do not have to prove their case. They don't have to prove a defense. The prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Is the standard too high? Is
standards too high? And I also think there's an expectation of jurors. The CSI effect really does exist. The jurors want everything in a little neat package. I want an expert for every one of the tenets that you're trying to prove. You know what? You don't need a meteorologist to go outside and say, hey, Sean, there's snow on the ground.
Mercedes, did they prove one? Did they, what, give me, they don't know how the girl died. They don't know how the girl got there. They don't know, there's no DNA. There's nothing.
You said exactly right in the beginning. It was overreaching by the prosecution. If they'd done something differently, she would have been convicted. But based on what they were seeking, there wasn't enough proof to show up.
There really did. There just wasn't enough. And in this land of CSI, that's not the real world. I think people need to understand that's not what happens in a real crime scene in real life.
There's a lot at stake here because it's either mob rule because, oh, she's a bad mother, we've got to convict her, or we believe in the rule of law, the presumption of innocence, the burden of proof on the prosecution, this standard that we have beyond a reasonable doubt. It is fundamental, and that, you know, people that have been writing me saying, Hannity, you're surprising me on this one. Our Constitution and our rights are in jeopardy here, and people, if we lower those standards in this case, they will be lowered forever. That's why it's dangerous. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And coming up, it is the curious new psychological effect we were just talking about. Could juries be swayed to acquit defendants, and should they be convincing? You know, in other words, the CSI effect, did it play a role in Casey Anthony's case? We'll check in with our forensic and legal experts about what they call this effect next.